What's up, everybody? It's Curtis, the Timeshare Translator. So, what I'm going to do in this episode is really explain to you guys like what is a timeshare in basic talk. Um, just a quick overview on what that product is. It's not the only product we're going to cover in these videos, but it's probably the most generally known and probably the one that gets the most hate because a traditional timeshare, it's been made fun of on South Park. That fucking with like Rob Schneider movie, like plenty of stuff is made fun of timeshare. Like it's a running joke in Hollywood. It's like a cheap way to make like a filler episode of a TV show. But the reality is, a timeshare can be broken up into several categories. You can have old school, what's called a fixed week timeshare. So you guys go to a resort, you buy 1 week in a specific type of unit at a specific location. And it's the same week every year. You guys own week 24 in Destin, Florida. It's in a 1-bedroom unit. You're going to get that week every single year. And that week comes with what's called a mandatory maintenance fee. Because you technically own that week, you pay to maintain that property. The problem with a lot of properties is you don't have any control of what happens to that maintenance fee. It can go up. It's going to go up because everything gets more expensive. But depending on the company, it can go up drastically. And there's also something that comes with a lot of properties that are deeded timeshares that's called a special assessment fee. Let's say you got to redo all the wooden decks on a tower of units. That assessment fee, what they do is they look at the value of the work and everything, and they chop it up by however many owners, and that's going to be an additional fee on top of your maintenance fee. Now, if you don't want to go back to that same location every single year, you can get something what's called an exchange company. There's various different exchange companies, and I'll go into more detail on that in later episodes. But your traditional ones are going to be RCI and Interval International. Those are the two big ones. So what happens is you take your week, you put it into the exchange company. They give your week a value. Back in the day, like if you were with RCI, you got a value between 1 and a 60. And then let's say they gave you a 15. Well, you could go do like 1 week in Branson, Missouri, and that's a 5. So you would spend those 5 points, and then you can go to Branson. You still got 10 points left over. RCI now, if you don't have those types of programs, they still deal in points, but it's in like the tens and hundreds of thousands of points. So fixed week timeshare, that's one basic form of timeshare. And then what happened is they went to like season or time breakdowns or floating time contracts. A floating time contract, depending on the specifics of your contract, you would either get a red time contract, a blue time contract, and you could use that week at multiple weeks in the year, but in a given season. Usually more expensive contracts would come with the most flexibility. You can use it all year round. You can use it during Christmas time. Or for less money, you can get an off-season contract. Usually the fees are going to be lower, and also the purchase price is going to be lower as well because you're not going in the prime time of the year. Same unit for the most part, but less money. And the same rules apply. If you don't want to go, you put that in exchange company. It also has a mandatory maintenance fee. And then to go on top of that, you pay a membership fee to those exchange companies because an exchange company is a separate entity, and you also pay an exchange fee. So an exchange fee varies depending on if you use it in the same country that you own in or if you go international. So that's another fee that you need to be aware of when using even a floating week contract. And then lastly, well, not lastly, because I want to go back to the floating week contracts. So there are certain resorts in the world that you can buy into that have no mandatory maintenance fee. If I was just going to give you a recommendation off the top, those are, as long as you actually own something, as long as you actually have like a week or something, and it's not just a vacation club where you get leftovers. If you're buying at a property and it doesn't have mandatory maintenance fees, those would be my recommended locations to buy at, because you are getting the strength of ownership of some tangible type of property, some high scale property, hopefully, without the liability of a maintenance fee. And then the last type of property are going to be points-based properties. So this is what most of the big companies are going in right now. You get like Wyndham, where you own hundreds of thousands of points, and you can use them for nightly stays as well as weeks, small units, big units. You go in high season in a big unit, that's going to cost you more points. You go low season in a small unit, that's going to cost you way less points. If you use nightly hotel stays, for example, if you're with Wyndham Resorts and you do like Wyndham Rewards, you can do nightly hotel stays. Weekends are going to cost more, weekdays are going to cost less. So for the super flexible traveler that likes doing a lot of stuff, you might like the points-based programs because they allow you to do a lot of variety of stays. And if you're not super consistent in your patterns, that might be one of the best ways to do it for you guys. So in terms of the three main types of timeshares, it's going to be those: fixed week, fixed location, then it's going to be floating weeks, and then it's going to be point-based systems. For the most flexible traveler, point-based systems. If you fall in love with a location in a particular time of year, like if you always want to get out in Christmas or something like that, you're going to pay a premium, but it pays off to buy a fixed week location, fixed location, because you know what you're going to get. You're going to get a guaranteed level of consistency. And then the floating time, they offer more flexibility within a resort company. So those are also really great as long as you get a high access week. If you get, an off-season week, it's even going to affect the way that you trade that property. It's not going to trade as well as a high season week. So keep that in mind. I'm going to go into more detail later in other videos about specific companies and specific breakdowns. This is just a kind of intro video to give you guys an idea of what are the various types of timeshares. So I hope you guys find this useful. Like I said, if you or somebody you know is looking to buy a timeshare or just looking to know more about what they have, please like, subscribe, share my videos, and more will come, and I will give you guys more information about the industry. Thank you guys for watching.